Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back, or welcome for the first time, to Lead to Gold. This is my little passion project, my podcast devoted to talking about all things growth and wellness. Lead to gold. Think about it for a second. It's an alchemy trope. I talk about this in all kinds of different ways, but when I talk about the idea of turning lead into gold, I think of turning the hard shit of life, the things that suck, the things that we don't want to have to face or go through or do, and finding something of value in them. That's what we're here to do. So if you're new here, I'm so happy to have you. Hope you stick around. I hope you enjoy, learn something, or just pretend you're with your friend chatting on the couch, because I'm always trying to sort of facilitate that vibe, I guess. And I definitely need it today. I'm sitting in my sweatpants and I think I'm about to get my period. And I am also sort of kind of fighting a little depressive wave, if you feel me. So let's build some camaraderie today. I'm really, really glad you're here. And just as a quick aside on that note, I really kind of have to laugh at the irony of the things that I talk about sometimes, because I do try to keep the mood positive and light. And, you know, the focus is talking about things that we can do to make life better. But it's really funny to me when I blog about or, you know, talk about something that is really light and, you know, I'm getting really jazzed about, I don't know, going outdoors. My latest blog post is some of the sections remind me of the Dr. Bronner's soap bottles, where it's just all exclamation points and all happy go lucky, and you kind of wonder what drugs the person was on that wrote it. That's what some of it reminded me of, because I read it back and I'm like, wow, I am a little bit too jazzed about going outside. You know, and then when your mood shifts, when you kind of hit that little, ooh, are we in a depressive episode? You read it back and you're like, how did I get there? Can I get back there? That'd be awesome. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. All is well, but you know, maybe it's just that premenstrual touch, if you will. Also, if you can't tell by my voice, I'm getting over a little bit of a cold. It's the end of the school year, and last week we had no AC for 2 days, so I was just sitting in a stuffy room with a bunch of 14-year-olds who were sneezing all over each other and me. So that's where we're at, you know, that's where we're at. And that happens. I have to laugh about it because the duality of life, as I've said in previous episodes, the duality of life. In any case, I want to go ahead and get into today's topic. And just before I do that, I invite you to get cozy, grab your bev, your coffee, your tea, just get cozy with me. And ultimately, the goal of today's episode is to walk away feeling a little bit lighter and a little bit more free from perhaps some things that we have been led to believe, or things that are weighing us down that really just don't need to be. And today's episode is called Simplify for a reason, because ultimately we're working on cutting the bullshit, to be quite frank with you. So I have a lot of notes for today's episode, but I'm hoping it won't be too long of an explanation. It's just something that I've been thinking about because, as you probably very well know, if you are a person out there on the internet, we have so many things being thrown at us all the time. Even if you're not a person who is super often on the internet, you're probably a person who watches the news from time to time or feels the need to stay informed on what's going on in the world. And really, I think no matter where you are in this day and age, if you live in a developed country, if you have technology and media as a part of your daily life, if you're listening to this podcast, you very likely are somewhat media savvy and media literate. And we cannot live in this kind of world without constantly absorbing all kinds of information. And that can be fine. But I will just take this little opportunity to say that I don't think it's sustainable and I don't think it's healthy the way that 24-hour news cycles have so quickly become the norm. And beyond that, like I just said, social media is essentially its own 24-hour news cycle, if not news, at least information. We are being absolutely blasted with information all the time. And some of us are okay at dealing with this. Some of us can block it out. We can take what we need and leave the rest. But I know that I'm not alone in being a little bit of a chronic overthinker and information overloader. If you are a person who considers yourself a learning lover, you like to learn new things, you like to go out there and get information and dig deeper and ask hard questions. I'd like to think that many of us listening to this podcast are that way. I definitely like to consider myself to be a person who loves learning and wants to absorb a ton of information. But the problem with that is we can't keep it all. We just can't. And our brain does a well enough job of sort of deleting the information that really doesn't serve any sort of purpose for us. Sometimes the information that we really do wish we could hold on to, we have trouble doing. And I know that very well from being a school teacher. But in any case, the information that we do hold on to can very oftentimes be more harmful than helpful. What I mean by that and how it relates to simplifying our lives, especially if you are somebody who is in the world of health and wellness, or any social circle that throws a lot of advice at you. This is something that we need to be very present with, and we need to be very aware, more aware now than ever at what we're being told, what we're being essentially fed by media, and what we're doing with that information. It's something that I think is going to become more and more important as we become more and more dependent on technology. And maybe if dependent isn't the right word, at least more integrated with it. I am not personally of the belief that AI is going to ruin humanity. I think it can be used for good, but it also can be used for bad. And that's not really where I'm going with this conversation ultimately, but just the general information that we get. How can we parse through it in a way that leaves us feeling lighter and not overwhelmed by all of it? One of the best things we can do for our mental health, I believe, is to every once in a while take stock of our values, take stock of our beliefs, the things that we have picked up from media, the things we think we have to do in certain areas of life, and reevaluate. Drop what does not work. Drop what does not make you feel good. And I'm going to get into more detail on this. To be frank with you, I recorded this section a couple of times because it's easy to go off on tangents here. It's easy to find lots of little examples in my own life, but I really, as the episode says, I really do want to keep this simple and try to give us all a way to do this more routinely and just help ourselves out a little bit. So I mentioned the word presence a couple minutes ago, and presence is something that I talk a lot about on this show and in my blog and in all of my work. It is something that has always been important to me, but only in recent years have I really been able to find a practice within it. And trust me when I say I am still not perfect. I am still not nearly as present in my day-to-day as I would like to be, but we're working on it. And that's what I'm going to bring to you all here today. The first thing we must do in this process, if we are feeling overwhelmed in certain parts of our life, if we are experiencing information overload, we have to get present with what feels good for us. And my ultimate definition of presence is feeling into what your body wants and what it needs. And like I just said, what makes it feel good. To start this off and to just really, really break it down, I believe that there are essentially 3 pieces of the body that we can look at when we are trying to get present with something. So just to keep this base level, think about first your physical body. Let's say we see something on the news that's distressing. A lot of what is going on with drag bans across the country is something that is deeply unsettling to me. And I know, as somebody who is not even identified as queer, that there are so many people out there who are really, really struggling with this, and it hurts. When I hear this news, when I see that another state has banned drag, it's physically painful, right? I see that and my heart clenches. I listen to that and it sucks. It's hard not to immediately go to emotions there, but I'm really just trying to think about the physical. So my heart clenches. I might, if I'm really present with that information, I might start getting a little bit clammy or sweaty. And just being able to identify where in the body there is discomfort is a great presence practice. And I know that this is an unpleasant example, but it is one that has come up recently. So first, literally just feeling your body. Try not to put it in your head. The heart clenches. Palms get sweaty. Maybe we want to cry. Maybe we do cry. That's a physical response as well. And then we have the emotional, which is sometimes very closely tied, right? It's all part of the body. And emotions, in this case especially, are much easier to grasp onto. That news makes me feel so angry, but also kind of powerless in some situations. It's like I immediately want to say, well, what can I do? As somebody who is living in a state where drag currently isn't banned, but how do I help out states in which that it currently is? How do I show up? It's like all of these things can lead to different emotions, but my initial reaction is anger, sadness, worry for my queer friends. And then finally we go to the mental. So how does my mind respond? And in all honesty, just in this explanation, I noticed that I was starting to get into the mental presence there. My mind immediately goes to, well, what can I do to help? How can I show up when I choose to go to Pride events this year, if I even choose to go at all? How do I present myself and make people aware that I'm there to help? Is that even the right thing to do? So ultimately, these are 3 areas that we can sort of take stock of as we receive information. And again, I know that was a pretty rough example. That's not a pleasant piece of information to have to go through. But when you are present with how it makes you feel in those 3 areas of the body, we can then better sort of decide what to do with it. So from here, we have an idea, hopefully, of what it feels like to get present. What can we do in our body to feel what we're being shown, what we're being fed? And then to really talk about simplifying, to talk about cutting the bullshit, the things that we don't need to worry about in our lives. I think there are 5 essential areas of life that we can look at here. And I'm going to just lay them out first, and then I'll maybe give an example for each one. We'll just talk more in depth about it. Those 5 areas of life, for me, to keep it pretty basic, are first, your health and fitness. So this is health of the body, mental health, general fitness. I'm not talking about like diet and exercise per se, but just like the body, right? Number 2 is relationships. So your relationships to the people around you and the relationship to yourself. Number 3 is work. So what is your work life like? What's going on at work? Number 4 is leisure or hobbies. So what are you spending your free time doing? And number 5 is your spiritual life. And I put this here because I assume if you are listening to this podcast, you are likely a somewhat spiritual person. And if you're not, that's totally cool too. But we'll get into more depth. This may still apply to you and it may not. Another thing I wanted to mention is that if these 5 categories don't necessarily work for you, once we get into more depth about how they work, don't worry about it. Come up with your own if it still serves you as a system. So we can essentially simplify these 5 parts of our lives, these 5 areas of our lives, by assessing the beliefs that we have around them. And this can take time. This may take months. This may take years. I don't know. But we can at least start with a few sort of core beliefs about each. And again, I'm going to kind of run through a few examples just to give you an idea. Before I go any further, though, I did mean to say that if you would like to get out a journal and write out a few ideas as we talk about this, I think that would be great. It's honestly something that I'm going to do as soon as I'm done recording this episode and play it back for myself. But take a second, grab a journal, grab your Bev if you don't already have it, and we'll kind of get into it. Those 5 areas and any sort of beliefs that come up in them, we can assess through being present, through kind of taking stock of those body areas that I mentioned earlier, physical, emotional, and mental. So let's talk about health and fitness really quick for just an example. A belief that I have held about health and fitness for a long time, and this is just one. I'm taking this from all of the places that I may have seen in my past as like fitness advice. I am a pretty frequent gym goer. I have a decent routine going. It's not my entire life, but it is something that I love to do. And, you know, I enjoy it. I love going to the gym. I never played sports as a kid, or not for very long anyway, but this is sort of my way of fitness. The problem with it, though, is that, again, like a lot of things, you get a ton of advice through the internet, through media that may or may not actually work for your body. So one of those things that for some reason I just internalized and still hold on to is the idea that you should work out before you eat anything. And listen, if me saying that just set off any alarm bells for anybody out there that knows better, I'm really sorry. This is something that I picked up when I was probably like 16 years old. And when you're 16, you're usually kind of in the throes of that unhealthy diet and fitness culture era of life. And that's very much where I was. So I'm so sorry. Please don't yell at me. I know that this is maybe not sound advice, but it is something that I am still working hard to kind of let go of and just stop believing, because I know that it's probably not the best advice. But anyway, let's take a minute to talk about that. I'm going to go in more depth. So again, the belief in the area of health and fitness is that I should work out before I eat anything. I remember reading that somewhere in a pamphlet that I got from like a workout video from my mom that said, work out first thing in the morning before you're awake enough to talk yourself out of it, and do your workout. and then have your breakfast. Because if you don't, all of the calories that are sitting in your stomach, all the whatever, is going to burn first. So your workout won't be as effective if you are working out on a full stomach. That's essentially the idea. And I clung on to that as a 16-year-old just for, I don't know why, but it's still there. Anyway, taking that piece of advice, I get present with it. And I recognize that I'm still kind of following that because one part of my brain tells me I'm doing much, much better in my health and fitness routine now that I'm going to the gym first thing in the morning before having a meal. Does this decision feel good to me physically? In all honesty, yes, it does. I do think that I get a little bit of a benefit from working out first thing in the morning, because less so on the side of like not having eaten anything, but more on the side of I'm not awake enough to talk myself out of it. Physically, it feels better to work out first thing in the morning because I am tired, but I get more out of it. And then I have more sustained energy throughout the day. And I have been able to pick up on that physical response to this decision, to this advice, very, very quickly. It's shown improvement in my life. Emotional, however, I look at it and I think I might still have a little bit of a warped and perhaps, I don't know if dysmorphic is the right word, but we'll just say warped perception of how beneficial that actually is. Like, am I seeing any physical outward appearance benefits from practicing this? No, I'm not. At least not yet. And I think I've been in my area of fitness long enough, working out all hours of the day, eating a ton of stuff beforehand, eating nothing beforehand, and I really don't see much difference. So, emotionally, it gets me a little bit sad thinking that I'm still clinging on to this for something that I'm not seeing and that I probably deep down know is not really actually doing anything. Except, I have more sustained energy throughout the day, so that's a good thing. Mentally, like all of this stuff, I kind of just ran through it quickly, but you get the idea. I am ultimately probably going to keep this belief in my life because waking up early and going to the gym first thing works better for me. But do I need to do that because I believe that I'll look better? No. So we work on that. Perhaps something that I can do, the first step is presence. The second step is action. What are we doing with this information? Perhaps I can start giving myself an affirmation that I don't need to do this to look a certain way. Rather, I'm doing this to feel a certain way, to feel better. That was a little bit long-winded, but that is an example of how you can go through one of these areas of life, get present with a core belief, and decide, is it helping you or is it hurting you? Another example that I will give, again, we have relationships. We have a core belief about your relationship to somebody else in your life or your relationship to yourself. And analyzing those core beliefs, getting present with them, identifying how they make you feel. These are all things that you can do to just cut the bullshit, take out, or at least work on the beliefs that are not serving you or not helping you. One thing I would like to just sort of pivot to, because I think we get the general sense of like how the system works, and I encourage you to journal about it and start identifying some core beliefs that you have in these areas of life. But to just pivot into the idea of where all of this comes from, where these core beliefs come from, I want to actually skip over to the area of spirituality in life for just a moment, because this is a trend, especially for the circles that I find myself in, that I see a lot of. And I do think it's ultimately harmful how much information we are given about spiritual practices and what we should be doing and practicing and believing, because ultimately your spiritual practice is yours. It's nobody else's. There is no Instagram life coach, teacher, shaman, anybody out there who can tell you what to believe or what to practice or what is best for you any more than you can do for yourself. And I think that's a given, but we just, as humans, aren't very good at practicing that, just sticking to what works. And of course, part of that process is playing around and trying new things. I think that's an incredible part of spirituality. And I love that, just the general idea of being a spiritual person allows you the freedom and the space to play around with different things. I think that's incredible. But what gets really kind of upsetting to me is when so many ideas and practices are tossed at us and they are worded as if they are truth. That's not healthy, and that's not well-intentioned. It's actively harmful, and I think in many cases, people know what they're doing. They're trying to get you to follow them, believe them, buy something from them, what have you. I'll give an example of that very quickly. A truth statement that is just not. And again, I might have some people listening to what I'm about to say and be like, no, it is true. Just bear with me. I went into a crystal shop over the weekend. I love this crystal shop. I love it so much. The people are so nice. It feels so good and warm and welcoming in there. And I just could spend hours in there reading the little cards and looking at all the things. And I just love it. But here's the thing. I don't believe that crystals inherently have medicinal, emotional, mental powers. I don't. I would love to learn more about it. I'm open-minded to it, but I, at this point in time, do not believe that holding a piece of citrine in my hand or in my pocket or carrying it in my purse is going to make me more focused. I don't. That said, the truth statement is, when you read the card that's next to the citrine and it says, this powerful crystal is used in clearing practices and can help you focus and can help draw in wealth. And in all honesty, I'm totally just making that up, but I think it has something to do with focus and attention. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. It's phrased as if it is a fact. And much of the information that we pull in, especially in the spiritual community, is pulled in and talked about as if it is fact. But here's the thing, people. Here's the thing. And not to give too much away, because I really do think the next episode that I do on Lead to Gold is going to be much more in depth on spirituality and spiritual practices. But here's the thing. And here's why I love spirituality so much. Like I just mentioned a few minutes ago, it's such a playground. It's such a space for freedom and creativity, and we get to just try new things. But I believe that is founded on the idea that we as humans are so small and we cannot possibly understand the enormity of what we are surrounded by. This universe is so big and so magical and so blissful and so amazing, and there's no way that we can understand it. There's no way that we truly have any fucking idea what we are talking about. We are just little tiny humans. We don't know what the fuck we're talking about. We don't know what the fuck we're doing. And that's spirituality to me, is like we get to play around in that freedom. We get to explore that space however feels good for us and whatever helps draw us closer to meaning and to purpose. And that's the beauty of it. But when I see so many people out there on the internet selling their spiritual courses and telling you how to live your life, they are telling you things. that they're not qualified to tell you. I know that we can get degrees in certain areas of religion and maybe even spirituality. I don't know. But most of these people who are telling you that, oh, seeing the angel number 44444 means that you're so abundantly loved and that somebody's thinking about you. And when you hear your ears ringing, that means that somebody's talking about you. Like just little teeny tiny things like that. It's not truth, okay? It's not. It's not truth. We can speculate. We can believe certain things, but when people tell you that it's truth, they don't know that. We're just humans. We don't know anything. And I know that this is getting a little bit convoluted, but that's exactly the point that I'm trying to make. Things get so complicated so quickly. I bet you're a little bit confused after just listening to me talk and rant about this. And I know that that was a rant. I'm sorry. But it gets so confusing and it gets so complicated and there's no reason for it. All of those beliefs and all of those things that are sort of fed to us as truth, this is what I'm talking about. These are the things that we need to assess and be like, okay, is the belief in angel numbers serving me? Do I feel comforted when I see 44444? Yeah? Great. Then keep your angel numbers. Does my citrine make me feel focused? I don't know. Probably not for me, but if they do for you, keep it. If you like it, keep it. If it serves you well, keep it. But don't feel like you have to see all of this information and take all of this information and use all of this information. There's too much out there. Don't feel like you have to take on every bad thing that's going on in the world and do something about every awful, horrific thing and donate money to every single person who needs it. Don't. Do what you can. Do what you can. Because if we try to overextend, we're going to burn the fuck out. And we know this. We know this. So let's just simplify it. You know? Don't give yourself so many rules. Here's another thing that I talked about this in one of the previous recordings that got a little sidewinded, but this is a great little advice piece that I have taken and used, and it helps simplify all different areas of my life. There are so many fewer rules than we think we have in this world. There are so many fewer rules than we think we have to follow. Obviously, be a good law-abiding citizen. You know, don't do stupid shit. Don't upset other people. Act accordingly. Act like you got some sense, as my dad would say. But on the other hand, you know, my dad always told me that I had to fold my clothes and then I had to fold my underwear and fold my socks in a certain way so that they fit in the drawer. Guess what I don't do now that I own a house? I don't fold my fucking underwear. Why should I? If I can find it just as easily without folding it, guess what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to fold it. And guess how much time gets saved now when I do laundry? Simplify it, people. If folding your clothes doesn't serve you, don't fucking do it. If keeping your house beautiful and clean and tidy and spotless, even though nobody's coming over, doesn't do it for you, then don't do it. Do what feels good for you. Save yourself some space. Please and thank you. I feel like I'm getting really heated about this one, and I don't know why. I don't know why it's coming out of me in the way that it's coming out of me right now, but this is just something that has been so apparent to me. We are stressing ourselves out so much, and for what? Just simplify it. Take out the trash. So to wrap this up, I'm going to go through one more time, if you didn't get a chance to write it down, the things that we can do to parse through all of the information overload and all of the things that we may or may not need. Let's do a little spring cleaning in our lives, shall we? First, when something comes up, a belief or a practice that you don't know if it's serving you, get present with it. How does it make you feel? Physically, emotionally, and mentally. Get present with it. It may also help to kind of identify like what areas of life are not feeling super amazing for you right now. Are you feeling really confused in your relationships? Is work insanely overwhelming? Does your hobby not feel like a hobby anymore? Why is that? These are some of the initial questions you can ask yourself. Is like, where in life am I feeling a little bit not so hot right now? That's where you might be able to dig a little deeper and establish the core beliefs without judgment, but then go in and decide, do I need this anymore? Can I start to teach myself to think about this in a new way or practice this in a new way? And that's how we ultimately can take out that trash. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that helps. And as always, if you have questions or if you want to talk through this idea, I would love to hear from you. I'm always accepting DMs, at least for now, because my Instagram's pretty quiet. So, follow me over there if you're not already. Send me a message. Let me know how you think about this or what strategies have helped you to simplify areas of your life. I would love to know. Would absolutely love to know and chat with you all. Okay. All right. So before we head out, I'm going to pull one of our We're Not Really Strangers cards. If this is your first time listening, I do this at the end of every episode, and I have a healing edition. So it fits in really well with most of what we talk about. And we're just going to chat about what the card asks us. If you've been journaling along during this episode, you can add this at the bottom of your page or, again, DM me about it, talk about it, reflect on it. Here we go. Here is the question of the day. All right. And this might actually be a good belief or a good journal topic to kind of tie into everything that we just talked about. What emotion keeps coming up for you lately? Why do you think that is? Again, what emotion keeps coming up for you lately? And why do you think that is? Honestly, I'm really happy, really, really happy to be able to say that an emotion that keeps coming up for me as of late is gratitude. I don't know if that's exactly an emotion. Gratefulness, gratitude, whatever you want to call it. But I think that that's the closest thing that I can say to describe how I feel lately. I just built an outdoor couch with my partner. The garden is looking really, really good. We're getting a lot of things cleaned up. I feel like we were a little bit late to spring cleaning this year, but the yard is gorgeous. We're coming up on 2 years of living here, and I just sat down on that couch the other morning when we were done building it, and he brought me out breakfast, and I had my coffee with me, and I honestly just wanted to burst into the happiest tears. I was so grateful to just be able to sit there and look at my garden and pet my cat and drink my coffee and share breakfast with him. And I'm like, wow, this is actually so amazing. Just trying to drink in that moment. I wish I could. I have everything I could want, and being able to take little moments of life and feel that way. I mean, it's so special, and I feel so privileged and so blessed to be able to say that. But I do think that it can come from the smallest things. Gratitude, right? I am just yeah, that's been the overwhelming emotion for me lately. And I'm so happy to be able to say that. I've said it before on the show, but there were times in my life where I really didn't think that I was ever going to feel that way again. And I'm just trying not to hold on to it too tightly, but also just really, really relishing in knowing that that's where I am right now. And it's good. It's all good. So I'm curious for you, what emotion keeps coming up for you? And why do you think that is? What's going on? Let's talk about it. All right, guys, that's all I have for today. And I really don't know what got me so animated today, but I'm happy to be able to share it with you. And again, if you have any comments, thoughts, ideas, please share them with me. Reach out. And if you know of anybody who you think might benefit from this episode or any episodes, send me their way. Let's keep this going. Send a little review. That always helps the show grow. And I'm happy to see it going up little by little. It makes me feel really good. I'm just really glad people are enjoying, and I hope to see it continue. So thank you so much for tuning in. I love you. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having an incredible day, and I hope that it just keeps getting better. Thanks for chilling with me, and I'll see you in another 2 weeks with a new episode. Again, not to spoil, but we're going to probably keep it on that spiritual conversation. So hope to see you there. Bye.